As many of you already know, back in January 2023, Anne Taylor was appointed to represent defendant Bryan Kohberger at public expense, and at the same time the court issued an order appointing Judge Mark Monson as the resource judge for any of the defence's requests for services. He issued an order sealing that all documents and materials related to costs associated with the defence's request were to be sealed and exempt from disclosure. Now, after Kohberger pleaded guilty, the Idaho Statesman, the newspaper, submitted a public records request in September 2025, seeking the civil resource file. And in that request, they were seeking records related to the defence's request for publicly funded services, including reimbursements and itemised approvals or rejections. However, the resource file had previously been sealed by the court, and because of that, the statesman's request became a request to unseal the court records. And that sparked an ongoing legal process that kept the records under seal for several months. Now, Judge Monson scheduled oral arguments back in December 2025, and the Idaho Statesman attorney Kirsty Kennedy argued that the records should be available to the public because Kohberger had pleaded guilty and accepted a sentence that included no right to appeal, ending his legal case and, in their view, ending the need to protect the records. Anne Taylor asserted that attorney-client privilege and or work product doctrine still applied. The court conducted an initial review of the case file and the court could not find a basis to keep the entire court file sealed. And Judge Monson identified a category of documents that shall remain sealed because they contained information exempt from disclosure, and he included that some records were clearly exempt as highly intimate facts or statements. However, he granted Taylor a 45-day window to go through the files line by line to argue for specific redactions. But before the 45-day process to review and unseal, Judge Monson granted Taylor's request to stay the proceedings and appeal the unsealing order to the Idaho Supreme Court. Following that ruling, the case moved to the higher court, and the defence filed its official notice of appeal, and shortly afterwards the Idaho Statesman filed its notice of cross-appeal. The Statesman will respond to issues on appeal raised by the defence, but they also asserted a preliminary statement of issue on cross-appeal, and that is, did the District Court err in holding that the attorney-client privilege and the work product doctrine may apply to documents or records in Kohberger's civil resource file? So what happens next? Once the September 1st deadline passes and the appellants, the defence, brief is submitted, the respondents, the Idaho Statesman, will file their counter brief and cross appeal. And once all the written briefs are sitting with the court, the 5 Supreme Court justices will schedule a live hearing. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.